Good day, everyone. So today we'll have our second lesson in our block 4 in Math 5. So we'll start with the question, what are the factors of 12 and 18? Okay, so to find out what is the factors of 12 and 18, we need to find two numbers that we need to multiply to get 12 and 18. So we'll start with 12. Think of a two number that we can multiply by 12. Okay, very good. That is 1 times 12. What else? Okay, very good. That is 2 times 6 is equal to 12. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. Any other number that we can multiply to get 12? Okay, that's all. Aside from reciprocal by 4 times 3, 6 times 2, and 12 times 1. So let's have 18. What are the factors of 18? We'll start with times 1 times 18. Next, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. So the following are the factors of 12 and 18. So we can say that 12 has the factors of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. While 18, we have the factors of 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. So we have the question, what are their common factors? When you say common, they have the same factors. So that is 1, 2, 3, and 6. So this is the common factors of 12 and 18. That would be 1, 2, 3, and 6 because they have the same factors. Now, there is the question, what is the greatest common factors between them? When you say greatest, what is the biggest common factor between them? So if you will look at the top, there is the greatest common factors between 12 and 18. That is, very good, that is 6. So we can say that the greatest common factor of 12 and 18 is 6. So what is greatest common factor or GCF? It is the greatest of all the common factors of 2 or more numbers. So today we will find the greatest common factor or GCF in our second lesson in our block 4 in Mathematics 5. So this would be our aim for today, that I want you to write the following in your notebook. Again, pause the video and able for you to write the following in your notebook. We will learn to find the greatest common factor of 2 or more numbers using the continuous method. Again, we will learn to find the greatest common factor of 2 or more factors using continuous method. So this would be our activity. Use the smallest number as the divisor and a large number as the new dividend and divide it. Next, use the remainder as the new divisor and divide the previous divisor as your new dividend and divide it. Repeat until the remaining is 0. Then until you finish all the numbers given to you, the last divisor used is your greatest common factor or GCF. So let's start with your activity with this following numbers. Okay, so we'll start with letter A. We have 24 and 40. So we need to find the greatest common factor between them using our continuous method. So always remember your small number, which is 24, will be our divisor and 40 will be our dividend. So 40 is our dividend, 24 would be our divisor. So we need to divide 40 divided by 24, that is 1. So we'll put it beside of our 40. So 1 times 24, that is 24. So we need to subtract it. Okay? So 40 minus 24, that is 16. Okay, so 16 is our remainder. We need to make it as our new divisor to divide it in our smallest number, which is 24. Okay? Again, your 24 is your new dividend and your remainder is your new divisor. 24 divided by 16, that is 1. So 1 times 16, that is 16. Okay, we need to subtract it again. 24 minus 16, that is 8. Again, your remainder will become your new divisor and your previous divisor will become your new dividend. So 16 divided by 8, that is 2. So 2 times 8, that is 16. So the answer for this one is 0. So what would be your greatest common factor there? Your last divisor would be your greatest common factor, that is 8. So we can say that the greatest common factor of 24 and 40 is 8. Okay, so let's proceed with letter B. We have 3 numbers. So we have 56, 48, 52. So again, we will start with the first and smallest number, enable for us to find out the greatest common factor. So the smallest number there is 48 and the second would be 52. So we need to divide it. $48 as your divisor, your dividend would be 52. So 52 divided by 48, that is 1. Now 1 times 48, that is 48. So we need to subtract it. 52 minus 48, that is 4. So your remainder would become your new divisor and your dividend would be 48. So 48 divided by 4, that is 12. So 12 times 4, it's 48. So 48 minus 48, that is 0. So as you observe, your continuous method come up with the remainder of 0. If this case, we will use again our divisor with our next number, which is 56. So we'll have the continuous method 56 divided by 4. How many? Okay, very good. That is 14. 14 times 4, that is 56. So if you will subtract this one, we got 0. So what is your last divisor? Very good. That is 4. So your greatest common factor is 4. Or the greatest common factor among 56, 48, 52 is 4.
Go.
Okay, so let's have letter C. We have three numbers again. 100, 120, and 125. Now that you know how to find out the greatest common factors among two to three numbers, I want you to pause the video and do the following activity in your notebook. Okay, time is up. I guess everybody is done answering and finding out what is our greatest common factor among these numbers. So, what would be the greatest common factor that you get there? Okay, so let's check if your answer is correct. So, we'll start with the smallest number as your divisor, and your dividend would be the second smallest number. So what that is 120. So we have 100 as your divisor, and your dividend would be the second number, which is 120. So 120 divided by 100, that is 1. So 1 times 100, that is 100. So we need to subtract it. 120 minus 100, that is 20. Okay, so your remainder is 20 would become your new divisor, and your 100 become your dividend. 100. Okay, so 100 divided by 20. So we'll count 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So there is 5. So 5. 5 times 20, that is 100. Okay, so your remainder is 0. So we will use still our 20 as your divisor to our third number, which is 125. So we have here 125 divided by 20. So that is 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So that is 6. So 6 times 20, that is 120. So we need to subtract it. 125 minus 120, that is 5. 5 would be your new divisor. And your dividend would be 20. 20 divided by 5. Okay, very good. That is 4. So 4 times 5, it's 20. So your remainder would be 0. So what is your last divisor that you use? Very good. This 5. So your greatest common factor among 100, 120, and 125 would be 5.
1.
Did you got the same answer of our greatest common factor among these numbers? Okay, great job. So I guess everybody got the correct answer. Okay, so how can we find the greatest common factor of the two or more numbers? Okay, so to find out the greatest common factor of two or more numbers, we need to divide our larger number to the smallest number. Then the remaining would be your new divisor. Then your previous divisor would become your dividend. And if the remaining is 0, then you will use again your last divisor enable for us to find out our greatest common factor. So if all the numbers was divided and the remaining is 0, and the last divisor that we use will be your greatest common factor. So let's try this one. Find the greatest common factor of 44, 52, 62, and 18. So we have 4 numbers that we need to find the greatest common factor. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 4 numbers.
Teachers, it's too long. It's okay. Enable for us to find out the greatest common factor. We'll still use the continuous method. Okay, we'll start with the smallest number going to the biggest number. So, first you need to identify what would be your first and second smallest number. These numbers. Okay, very good. That is 18 and 44. So, we need to use this one into our continuous division. So, we have 18 as your divisor and 44 our dividend. So 44 divided by 18, that would be 2. So 2 times 18, that is 36. So we need to subtract 44 minus 36. We got 8. Okay, so 8 is your remainder. So a remainder, sorry, I mean, the 8 would be your remainder. So that would be your next divisor or new divisor. And we will use 18 as your new dividend. 18 divided by 8, that is 2. So 2 times 8, that is 16. So we need to subtract this one. 18 minus 16, that is 2. So we have still remainder of 2. So your remainder 2 would be your new divisor and your dividend would be 8. So 8 divided by 2, that is 4. Okay, so 4 times 2, that is 8. So your remainder is 0. But still, we are not yet done with 52 and 62. So your last divisor there is 2. So we will use 2 as our divisor. And we will go with our dividend 52. 52 divided by 2, that is 26. So 26 times 2, that is 52. So we need to subtract it. It's 0. It's because the remainder is 0. Our divisor still is 2. So we need to divide 62 divided by 2 using our continuous division. Okay, 62 divided by 2, that is 31. So 31 times 2, it's 62. We need to subtract this one. We got 0. So what is your last divisor that we used? Okay, very good. That is 2. So we can see that the greatest common factor of 44, 52, 62, and 18 is 2. So that is how we get our greatest common factor with 4 numbers.
Now that you know how to find the greatest common factor using the continuous method, you can now open your workbook in page 21 and answer sheet work number 2, finding the greatest common factor or GCF. Then do not forget to answer or to do your content book as homework in page 40. Practice questions 1, 2, 3. So that would be all for today. God bless.